The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission may soon be regulating the bulk of the swaps market. Under new proposed rules, the CFTC will regulate 83% of the over-the-counter derivatives market. Today, the CFTC and the SEC are holding a two-day joint public roundtable in Washington discussing the schedule for implementing final rules. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the CFTC, joins us now outside of that meeting. Chairman Gensler, welcome to Bloomberg's Bottom Line. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Good to be with you, Mark.
Mr. Chairman, the Inspector General has released a report, and that criticized what it talked about the cost-benefit analysis in the proposed rulemaking. What changes will the Commission be making to its economic analysis for final rules?
Well, we appreciate the Inspector General's report, and we've looked at his recommendations very seriously. What we're doing is we've completed the proposal phase, and we're hearing from the public, who is really the best place to hear from on cost and benefits. Of course, we have to remember that in 2008, the American public put in $180 billion into AIG.
Right.
And so there's an overall framework that Congress put forward that we have to lower the risk and increase transparency in this marketplace.
Well, Chairman Gensler, does the CFTC have the resources to conduct a substantive cost-benefit analysis?
We have about 670 some people, terrific staff, and we are using that staff, maybe as much as a quarter of them, to write these rules right now. But we will need more staff to actually implement the rules in 2012 as we move forward. As it relates to the cost and benefit analysis, I think the staff is excellent. They're doing a very good job.
Do you agree with Secretary Geithner's decision to exempt foreign exchange swaps and forwards from the bulk of CFTC regulation?
The Dodd-Frank Act said very clearly that we're going to get the benefit from central clearing and from trading on a suite of products, and we're going to move forward and we're going to bring that reform to the products that the Congress has asked us to do.
Now, there's something called an anti-evasion rule. Can you explain to me what that is and how it's going to be used in relation to foreign exchange swaps?
Well, I thank you, Mark, for asking. Congress gave us power to make sure that if somebody is structuring a transaction to evade Dodd-Frank, we can pursue that. So last week we actually proposed a rule on anti-evasion, which says if somebody structures something with an intent, and it is intent-based, to get around the rule somehow, well, then it's still going to be defined as a swap.
One of your commissioners and some in the derivatives industry, they've suggested that rules setting the framework for data keeping and repositories should be the first implemented as part of Dodd-Frank. Do you think that's the right first step?
Well, I think the first step is we need to finish our rules. We're going to do this over the course of the summer and the fall, and hopefully the public will see all the final rules. But I do think that whether it's a clearinghouse, a trading platform, a data repository, probably the first step is that they have their rule books in place and they're open for business, even if that's on a voluntary basis for the public to use.
Chairman Gensler, does the CFTC have the authority under Title VII to enforce new swaps rules outside of the United States?
Well, the law is very clear. The American public needs to be protected, and we need greater transparency, and that's even if some American company is entering into a transaction with an offshore dealer. And so if that offshore dealer is entering into a transaction here, we need to get the benefit of open markets and transparency.
As you know, the primary cause of the financial crisis was subprime loans. Who's going to regulate subprime credit default swaps?
Well, you're right that credit default swaps had a very large role in this crisis, as we learned from AIG. The Securities and Exchange Commission would have the primary jurisdiction there. Our jurisdiction would be about interest rate swaps, oil and gas swaps, which are very important, particularly with high commodity prices these days,
right,
and index swaps.
Chairman Gensler, we have about 1 minute left. I wanted to ask you about a rather, I guess, startling event that happened a year ago this Friday, and that was the flash crash. We're a year removed from that almost. Has there been any progress done to prevent another occurrence like that?
Well, the Securities and Exchange Commission and the CFTC worked jointly to get some very good recommendations from an expert panel, but the Securities and Exchange Commission has moved forward, as you know, and as your viewers know, to have more market pauses in the market. We're still working with the SEC on what's called cross-market circuit breakers. But I would say this, until we finalize these rules on derivatives, the public really will not be protected, and that's what we need to do to move forward.
Gary Gensler, he's the chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, joining us from Washington. Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you.